Okay. Good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Jeff Evenson. I'm a board certified doctor of holistic health. I am not a medical doctor. I do not practice medicine. I don't pretend to. I don't prescribe. I do not diagnose. I do not treat. What I do instead is help people get their health back through natural health means, holistic means, organic means. And it's really quite remarkable when I can do that. I had a client this week. She finished up her phase one, young woman, and when she started with me 3 months ago, she had no life. You don't, and when I took her on, she had no life in her face, is what I mean. Um, and when I took her on as a client, she was very skeptical. She was in such brain fog at the time. It took her mom and her grandmother to encourage her to give it a try and whatnot. And what we ended up working on was mold in her case and helping her detoxify her body from mold. And by the end of the 3 months, it's so remarkable. I wish I would have had a before picture and an after picture, because the life energy just exuded from her face, and that to me is why I do this work, is to help people reconnect with what it is like to feel alive again. And a lot of times when we're dealing with such challenging or chronic health challenges, it's hard to see what's possible because most of us have been raised in the conventional medical system and told, just go do what your doctor tells you to do. Okay. And what I've learned over the years, I've been doing this now over 16 years, is, and I'm a product of that medical system in terms of my own health before I went the holistic route. Um, I believed everything my doctor told me. I never questioned what they were telling me. And folks, you have to question that. I talked about that in my book, um, how to take your health back. You can question. It's okay to ask your medical doctors questions. I love it when my clients ask me questions. They want to understand how I came up with the protocol. They want to understand how the protocols are supposed to work. Um, and I love having that dialogue with clients. Okay. Now, today's show is going to be a little different. I was looking back on the very first episodes way back in the beginning of 2024, I think, is when I started all this. April 6th, 2024 was my first episode. Went way back, and it was a free form, free flowing. I remember that day because I was standing in my kitchen. I had just poured myself a cup of coffee. I've got my coffee here. And I thought, you know what? I was thinking about some holistic health topics, and it's like, you know what? I'm just going to go live and see what happens. Okay. Well, I've been streaming live now virtually every weekend. I may have missed a weekend here or there, but today is episode 67. Okay. It might be 68. I might have uh, miscounted some of the early episodes. But anyway, the early episodes, I just got done. I just would get on and I would talk about random health topics. Sometimes I'd see stuff go through my feed, my X feed, and whatnot, or come through the news of the day, and I would just talk about that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm going to do today. Partly, I almost didn't do the show. I'll give you a preview here. There's a strong likelihood, not 100%, but a strong likelihood that I am going to take the next 3 weekends off after this weekend. Um, Partly because next weekend I am going on vacation. Um, and I don't think I want to stream on the morning that I head out for vacation, and that vacation is a big Navy reunion, a reunion with a lot of the Navy guys that I served with, and we get together every year. I've gone almost every year. Um, and it's really important to me for that kind of week because I'm reconnecting with friends, and these are people I served with over a career in the Navy of 20 years. So it helps me kind of remember who I am. It gives me a break and whatnot, and I'm gonna it's doing the things that I encourage just about every one of my clients to do is every once in a while you have to take a break. You've got to step back from the hard hitting activities that you do so you can take time to recover and rejuvenate yourself and rebuild your energy and go play and go have fun. And so that's what I'm planning to do. And then I come back for a couple of days, and then I'm heading right out to Chicago to teach a workshop on quantum nutrition testing level 1. I'll be down helping Dr. Lisa Palmer. She's the founder of Quantum Nutrition Testing. I'll be helping her teach her workshop in Chicago. And I'm really looking forward to that. And I'll show you I'm going to walk you through the updates I did on my website. And I'll show you the page where you can find the link if you're ever interested in, stepping into holistic health as a practitioner. Anybody can go to the level 1 QNT training. And a lot of times it's, we recommend if you just have an interest in learning the quantum nutrition testing technique so you can apply it to your own family. I know a number of people who come in and do the training just because they want to have a better tool set in taking in home care with their own family. So that's certainly an option too. But I'll warn you, if you do that, what can often happen is you start out taking care of your family, and then you have friends that are feeling sick and or dealing with some kind of chronic challenge, and you offer up your services to them, and then they start talking, and so on and so on, and pretty soon you may find yourself in the world of holistic health as a practitioner. It's interesting how things can tend to unfold for a person getting into that. Okay. All right. I'm going to open up the chat window. So the other thing I'm going to do on the show today, if you have any questions, this is going to be a total free-flowing episode this morning. If you have any questions about holistic health, quantum nutrition testing, supplementation, anything that is holistic and natural, I throw your question in the chat and I will do my best to answer that question. And folks, I'm not afraid to say, gosh, that's a great question. I have no idea of the answer. I'm not afraid to tell you that. If I don't know the answer, I'll tell you that. And maybe we'll look up the answer together while we're on the show. So, yeah, it's been a great week. Yesterday, as I was wrapping up the day, I had a client that I did a full assessment on, several weeks ago. And she just needed some time to get things together for herself and whatnot. And unexpectedly, she reached out to me yesterday afternoon and said, "Okay, I'm ready to start." And so I love that when people. I never so I never get frustrated with clients when I'm doing a report of findings and my encouragement is to join me on a program. And if they say no, I never get discouraged by that. What I've learned long ago, and I heard it from a used car salesman once years ago when I was a younger man. I was buying a car and the guy was coming at me with the hard pressure tactics. But I just said, no, 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 stop, no. And he goes, okay. And he seemed really cool with that. And I asked him, I said, doesn't that frustrate you? And he goes, no. And his simple response is something that stuck with me all these years. And it simply is this: today's no is tomorrow's yes. Okay. So as a practitioner, I don't know all of the things that go into why people put off a decision that they make. I'm going to do my best to encourage them. Anybody who is dealing with some chronic health challenges and doesn't quite know which direction to turn, I'm going to always encourage you to check people out like myself. Okay. Um, and if you're still not sure, that's okay. Think about it, but don't let too much time pass. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to your health, there is never a good time to start a healing program. There's never a good time. It's the same adage, like, people who I always kind of smile at people when they say, yeah, they're planning their family. Okay, good luck with that. Um, because quite often your planning is so far out in left field, and you just don't know when a good time to start is. God has a unique way of just making things start when it's his time. And so there's never a good time to start having children. There's never a good time to um, buy a puppy or a pet. But when it comes to your own health, there's never a good time to start a healing journey. And it's simply because when you start on a healing journey and you're working with a coach, there's a plan, and where the friction comes in the beginning of the plan sometimes is learning the new habits that you have to learn to to be successful in getting your health back. Okay. And that's what the coaching does that I do with clients, um, and whatnot. So, all right. So let me find a screen here that I want to share with you guys. I saw an interesting headline out there. Let's see if I can do this. I'm going to share this screen here and put that on the show. All right. All right. So I saw this interesting headline. This came in the news. Ozempic. So many people are looking at Ozempic as, okay, here it is. Whether you want to call it Ozempic or Wegovy. I have my opinions on this kind of stuff. I don't believe you have an Ozempic deficiency or a Wegovy deficiency and all that kind of stuff. Um, I think there's a lot more to uh, weight loss than just taking a medication. And I think the medical side misses the whole side of what should go along with taking a medication like this. Okay. Because I don't think they do very well at addressing the emotional reasons that you're eating, and the rewards that you're giving yourself and the comfort foods and all the habits that go into it, and the energy that goes in behind it. There's a lot of stuff that can be tangled into the reasons for why somebody is overweight. Now, if you're seriously overweight, maybe uh, this option might be warranted. Um, but I'm always going to err on the side of, let's go with a more conservative approach. You don't have an Ozempic deficiency. Let's go conservative. Let's go back to the basics and whatnot. So this came up in the news. The miracle drug just destroyed 1,800 lives. These Ozempic users developed a horrifying disease overnight. And one of the things, it not only helps you lose fat, but it also has the potential of burning muscle. And you may lose muscle weight too. And that's never That's never a good thing. So what they're talking about here is this Ozempic. It was, the ride, the little bit of history here. I like this guy's thread on X. It launched in 2017, cultural phenomenon, $20 billion revenue annually for this drug. Okay. But what they don't often do is you don't get in behind the scenes. And now patients were developing NAION, NAION, non-arteritic anterior ischemic optic neuropathy. And what that is sudden permanent vision loss. There's no warning, there's no pain, and imagine waking up unable to see with a curtain falling over your eyes. Okay, but the worst part, it's irreversible. A July 2024 JAMA study, Journal of American Medical Association study, dropped a bombshell. Ozempic users face 7 times higher risk of vision loss. But the manufacturer, Novo Nordisk, never updated their warning labels. So by June 2025, the dam broke. 1,800 active lawsuits flooded the courts, a 5-time increase in just 1 year. Plaintiffs claim that Novo Nordisk knew the risk but chose profits over patient safety, and the evidence keeps mounting. Danish researchers found something alarming. Before Ozempic, only 5% of NAION cases, that's the blindness we're talking about, involved diabetics. After its launch, that number jumped to 25%. Annual cases nearly doubled from 68 to 150. But here's the twisted part. Despite litigation explosion, demand has not slowed down. Patients still beg for prescriptions. The weight loss benefits outweigh vision risks in their mind. Now, folks, if I tell you, yep, if you take this medication, there is, let's say you're diabetic, there's a 25% increase in blindness. I have trouble making sense of that in my mind. The potential settlements is $1 million per vision loss case. With nearly 2,000 lawsuits and counting, they're talking billions in liability. Yet the stock has barely flinched. Why? The answer reveals everything wrong with Big Pharma. Success at this scale, creates blindness of its own. When you're printing 20 billion annually, a few thousand lawsuits seem manageable until they're not. So the legal process is just beginning. There's a court, MDL number 3094, will determine, and this talks about Ozempic, Mounjaro, Trulicity, Rybelsus, Wegovy. The key question, what did executives know and when? And if internal documents show they buried vision risks, surely they're going to be forced to concede legally, right? Especially considering RFK's crackdown on Big Pharma, which I'm a huge supporter of. The ripple effects are already starting. Other GLP-1 makers like Eli Lilly face similar scrutiny. The FDA may mandate black box warnings. Prescribing practices could transform overnight, but here's what to really look out for. Okay, Ozempic went from medical breakthrough to legal catastrophe in 18 months. Decades of research, billions in investment, gone. But there's a massive opportunity here. When corporate brands implode, brands that build trust with millions will emerge unscathed. Why? Because in 2025, people don't buy from faceless corporations. They go here instead. And I didn't watch this video. I suppose they go here onto X. And they share their story and give you some unique takes on what's been going on. So you want to watch out for that kind of stuff. All right. Now, one of my other favorite guys to follow is Dr. Darren Schmidt. He has been a huge proponent and discoverer of the benefits of the MVX Plus. It's his go-to blood test for measuring, guiding, and tracking your health because it shows what's really going on inside your body. And he's given a case, an example here. And I've done the MVX Plus test, and I'm right on the cusp of launching this. I think I'm going to launch it after I'm done with my vacation and some travel. But one client started out with a score of 45, and lower with this particular blood test, lower is better. Okay. And he recommended a protein powder to boost his strength. And at first it worked, but a few months later, this client's score jumped from 45 to 54, which is not good. So what happened? Well, the client swapped butter in his coffee for cocoa powder, except it wasn't cacao, which is the nutrient-rich superfood. It was cocoa loaded with sugar, 22 grams per tablespoon. And that sugar spike tanked his health. The guy's inflammation went up, his other numbers worsened, and even the nurses noticed he didn't look well. So the lesson learned, one small daily habit can wreck your health scores. Okay, MVX Plus catches it before it turns into a bigger problem. And so it's a quick blood test. And I'll definitely be talking more about this. Some of my other colleagues are already launching it. Where I'm stuck a little bit is the remoteness of where I'm at, and I've got a couple options in play where I may designate for my local clients, set up a day where I have some a nurse or a phlebotomist that can come on site, and we'll have like a blood draw day for labs. You know, it would be in the morning so we could get everything boxed up and shipped out to the overnight flight out of here. And that looks like a strong potential option for me. Okay, now Dr. Darren Schmidt, if you follow him, good place to follow him is out on X. He's got a phenomenal YouTube channel. His content is top notch. Okay, and I'm actually humbled this year to be speaking at the Quantum Leap 2025 conference. Dr. Schmidt is also speaking, and he probably doesn't know it, but for years he's been a mentor of mine. I've followed his information and whatnot, and he's a friend as well. So it's a lot of fun to, and it's humbling for me to be sharing the stage with him this October. Okay, let me look. Let's go here. What else is coming up here in the X feed? Looking just for some quick hits. Ugh, some of that look gross. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go over to here. This is Plan B. Another place that I like to get news from is from the Epoch Times, Epoch Times, because they have a phenomenal section called Epoch Health, and you can subscribe to the newsletter, and it comes to your mailbox every day or every week, depending on how you set it up. But what I love is you can dive into different areas. You know, you can join their newsletter, and what's kind of interesting and I saw this come up the other day, the science of earwax. Okay, let's go into that. It may help detect cancer, diabetes, and other diseases. Turns out earwax contains a treasure trove of information about our health, including cancer status. And so the article goes on. They're looking at cerumen, which is the technical term for earwax. And this article was written and posted by Emma Suddy. Looks like she's an acupuncturist. I'm not sure what the initials AP are. So scientists discovered that it contains a goldmine of health data. Beyond that, it might be able to signal diabetes and cancer. Wouldn't that be phenomenal? So it varies between people. There's a single nucleotide polymorphism, SNP, that determines what type of earwax a person has, wet or dry. Of note, the SNP is the most frequent type of genetic variation among people, and they can look at your SNP and tell you what kind of earwax you might have. It gets into it, but um, the study, they did a study collecting earwax from two groups of people with cancer: lymphoma, carcinoma, and leukemia, and those without cancer. And when tested, 27 biological markers contained in the earwax were able to discriminate between cancer patients and healthy controls 100% of the time. So the new test has the potential to be a quick, non invasive, inexpensive, and highly accurate test for cancer diagnosis. And so that is phenomenal. Instead of getting in there and taking a biopsy, which I think sometimes I always try to shy away from that kind of stuff because I'm worried the biopsy will puncture what the body has put into place around that cancer and then release it into the bodies. Um, so there's some other stuff out here, essential guides, um, celiac disease. You can click on. They've got some phenomenal guides out here. Prostate cancer, psoriasis is the second most common autoimmune condition. And there's a good guide out here on MS, multiple sclerosis. Say that word 3 times fast. Okay. And if you're jumping on, if you care to, throw who you are in the comments and let me know where you're watching from. It's always fun to see where people are jumping on. And if you have any questions you'd like me to answer, throw those in the chat as well. Okay. All right. Here's a here's a good one. Fibromyalgia, a chronic condition with widespread pain. You know, I look at from a holistic perspective. When people come in with these medical terms, these medical diagnoses, uh, and I run them through the tests, I never assume that I'm going to find information that will support that medical diagnosis. Because a lot of times quantum nutrition testing, it allows me to have a conversation, a real conversation that can be very accurate with your body and what's going on inside your body. And so I don't hang labels on the cases that I'm working because I don't want people to attach to that. I don't want to further solidify that's what the doctor said I had, and then we get them better, and then it puts them in an awkward spot. Oh, that must be, spontaneous remission or something, or maybe we misdiagnosed. Well, a lot of times they maybe didn't. They're doing their best. They diagnose based off of symptoms, and how do those symptoms fit into a bucket? Well, I look at all of these as different buckets. The symptoms you're having fits into prostate cancer or psoriasis or MS, fibromyalgia. You might have, here's other ones: lupus, skin cancer, lung cancer. Uh, when really the conversation that I will have with people with the bodies that I'm working with is where are the low energy points in the body? What is the priority? What is the stressor? Because I can test down into the stressor. We get into the root causes of this. And once I know what the root cause is, I then know what specific nutrients we have to feed your body to help the body handle that. So a lot of times it might be toxins, toxic chemicals, heavy metals, could be food sensitivities. You might have immune challenges, could be a viral load, a bacteria load of some type, could be parasites. You might have Lyme. All of these things are going to interfere with the body's ability to heal. Okay. But once we know, as a holistic practitioner, once I know what the interference is, what the root cause is, then I know what specific nutrients we need to feed you. And I can do that all through quantum nutrition testing, and it is very accurate. I have practiced for over 16 years without using blood tests, solely the muscle test, the quantum nutrition testing, and other advanced muscle testing techniques like nutrition response testing. Cellcore has resonance testing. There's morphogenic field testing. There's so many different types, and I've studied many of them. And you can see all of the different types of things out here, okay, that they have guides on. And I find their guides are pretty thorough when they put these things together, okay. Stomach ulcers, something I know about. I didn't have the ulcers, but I had the massive hernia down there. And you can kind of see how they explain everything, from the function all the way up to the solutions, what causes them, and whatnot. So it's quite phenomenal. So, all right, now let's get into, if I can find. So 2 weeks ago, I launched my new website. I did a complete refresh. I took the old one down, scrapped it, and built the new one up. Okay. So I wanted to kind of just do a quick walkthrough. The front page, I tried to just kind of tell a story as we go down. Why don't I feel like myself anymore? You can start your journey right there. It'll allow you to go sync up. And you see on the top, I've got the website relaunch special running, $200 off on the full assessment if you use this promo code Health Truth. Okay. And you scroll down and it talks about the root cause approach that I do. It mentions me. I'm a guide. I'm not a guru. I don't ever pretend to have all of the answers, but I know how to get down to them. Okay. Got a little testimonial piece here. Some of the clients saying, I talk about what I believe. Okay. It's holistic healing. And by the way, all of the pictures on here are pictures that I took myself. The exception would be this one. This was generated by AI. But all of the pictures I took myself. I saw this picture one day when I was driving home, and it was just phenomenal. The clouds, it's almost like we were sitting right up in them. Okay. But if you're ready to begin, book your assessment. Okay. And you can subscribe to the newsletter or notices that I put out, and of course, privacy policy terms, scope of practice in the bottom. The website, I think I did okay in making it easy to navigate. So, typical websites are going to have the 2 or 3 bars up in one of the corners that show you the menu, tells you how to contact me. But you can get into the services here. Okay. Holistic health services rooted in results. All right. Quantum nutrition testing. I do the full assessments there to find out more. And then I move people into a 3-phase healing program. And these are the different ways you can work with me, in person or virtual. Okay. And you want to know more about what is quantum nutrition testing, this brings you to the page. And further down the page, I have 2 videos that I did that talk about what quantum nutrition testing is, or remote quantum nutrition testing. Okay. Or virtual is what that means. And still here, you can say get started now, and you can book. Let's go back to one page, find out more. This talks about the 3-phase healing program. Boom, boom, boom. Whole objective is to, some people are sometimes hesitant to start on a program, whether it's with myself, maybe a chiropractor and all that, because you always hear stories of, you get on a program and it never ends. Never ends. Okay. Well, I do a 3-phased approach because whenever I'm working with a new client, I don't know how long their healing journey is going to take to get them through. Some people, what I've noticed over the years typically is the younger the body is, the quicker it is to turn around and get back on track. You get an older body like mine, I'm 60, it can take us much longer to move through. For me, when I did my parasite protocols, it took me over 2 years of parasite work, solid parasite work to get rid of them. And on the flip side, when I worked with somebody who was much younger, she was like 22, it took 3 months. That was it. So everybody's different. But the idea here with the 3-phase program is my overall objective is to move you through phase 1 and phase 2 and get you ultimately to phase 3. That's the maintain and optimize phase. I call it the wellness warrior phase, because now you've got full control of your health back. Okay. And you dictate what happens. You know how to maintain. By the time you get to phase 3, you will have learned enough information along the way through my programs to get you there, and to help you maintain that healthy um, lifestyle. Okay. And you can book your initial assessment at any of these buttons throughout the website. Okay. Now, one of the other pages, of course, there's an FAQ section out here, about the process, remote and in-person options, fees, scheduling, and commitment. Do I accept insurance or HSA? Most HSAs will cover what is done here. Okay. Understanding the approach, and then faith, philosophy, and holistic healing. Okay. Because I get a lot of questions. Is this supported by Christian faith? I believe it is. That's where my intention is. Somebody over the years once accused me of doing devil's work. This was Satan's work, because they didn't understand how a person can work with the energy of another, of the human body, even though there's science behind all of it. Um, and my simple response to that is, if it was devil's work, I'll ask them if their health is getting better, and the answer is usually yes. Okay. Do you think if I was doing Satan's work, people's health would get better? Or would their health get worse and stay in a state of chaos? That sounds more like Satan's work than pulling people out of that chaos and moving them into good health and a lifetime of success. All right. I've got a section down here under resources, trusted resources. These are things that I personally use. These are things I recommend. Okay. Cardio Miracle is um, a heart healthy support mix. Okay. And I believe you get 10% off here if you follow that link and go order with these are all affiliates that I'm products that I'm affiliated with. And trust me when I say I will not post it on here unless I use it. Okay. Some people ask, how do I get a countertop water distiller? Well, the one I recommend comes from Pure Water. Okay. I have one of their countertop distillers and I use it often, and you can check them out here. Um, and then for personal growth, the Wake Up Warrior Challenge. You've heard me talk about that in the past. Huge, huge in terms of helping people, men and women, get out of their head, okay, and reconnect down here to your heart. I can't speak enough about how that program has helped me. And then business growth and support for other practitioners. People are always asking me, I get other practitioners asking um, what I use, and these are affiliate links with each of these. Okay. Here's where, if you're interested in quantum nutrition testing level 1, you can go here, get into the Quantum Academy, and see all of the options available to purchase and sign up for classes or conferences. big conference coming up. Follow that link if you think you're going to go in October. Let's go look. Let's go take a look. Okay. It brings you into the all the options here. There's a free webinar. Looks like that's out of date a little bit. But here's the big one down here: Quantum Leap VIP ticket. Okay, that's where you can go to the VIP conference. I recommend if you go to the conference, if you're thinking about going to Quantum Leap, you click on it. You want to definitely pop in as a VIP because you're going to get access to content that the general crowd will not see. Okay, so I can't promote that enough. You should go. The speaker lineup is phenomenal. Let's see if I can go find that. I just saw it posted. Oh, it might be out here. Here it is. Okay, the VIP gold ticket, and they just released the silver ticket pricing. You don't get all the VIP perks and information access, but now you can come for a little bit less. Here's the keynote speaker, Dr. Heather Wolfson, and then the lineup is Dr. Shane Morris. Some of these people, I'll tell you, I can't read the titles. You got Dr. Lisa Palmer, of course, the founder. Dr. Jason Dean is her husband. Dr. Adrian, Dr. Darren Schmidt. Uh, Gosh, I cannot read her name. Of course, who is this picture right here? That would be Dr. Jeff Evenson, Dr. Jabin Moore, and another keynote speaker is Dr. Jack Wolfson. So, yes, you notice they're both. I've heard Dr. Jack speak before at a Cellcore conference. The guy is phenomenal. I know his wife is a phenomenal speaker as well. So, right there, we're going to get some access to some great information. So I can't wait for that. Okay. And then let's go back to my website. If you want to get your hands on my book, you can buy that now on Amazon. Talks about who the book is for, a little bit about me. Downloads. I've got a download page right now. Only one thing on there to download is the food journal. If you want a worksheet to fill in, that'll give you that. And then if you're looking for access to the client portal, okay. Any events that I have, I'll have on the event page, of course. And if you want to contact me, you can do that here. Tells you where my office is, what my phone number is, what my email address is, the hours, all that are all on here. Okay. Now, client portal, of course, it's going to, I'm going to sign in as a patient might sign in. Oh, no, it wants a verification code. I've got to wait for that because I turned on two-factor authentication for this. I don't want people poking into my health record. Come on. Where is it? Oh, I know it's down here. Because it came in from Practice Better. Now, let me get this code. And this is going to be the client's experience. Okay. Now, what I love, this portal, if you become a client of mine, you have access to the client portal. There's no charge for this access. Some practitioners will charge like a membership fee to have access to this. I'm not going to say that I won't do that later down the road. Maybe if you become, a phase 3 and you're a client from 2 years ago and you still want access to this, I don't know. There's so many ways I could go with that. Um, but it's what I wanted to do is walk you through here a little bit. You get notices, okay? It's just like any other web program. The menu is at the top. You can find out who your practitioner is. This gives you information about me. Um, and oh, it looks like I got to update my training on there. Um, Interesting. Been a while since I've updated my practitioner page. The resources you have, journals, programs, notice it's pretty much the same thing on the left side there. You got a home button, but here's where you can manage all of your appointments. Okay, that's the first thing. When you're working with me, there's a item here called bookings, and you can go in and see that there's no bookings. But how do you book? Well, if you notice down in the right corner, I'm not sure I like this setup when they put the the floating button down in the right corner, bottom right corner. You can request a session, okay, and you have to scroll down a little bit. Most of you, if you're already in at this point, have already gone through the full assessment. But down here, Vibrant Pets, I do pet programs. And look at that. I don't see the, uh, boy, it's been a long time since I popped in here as a client. Let me go fix this real quick. My services. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, now I remember. All right. Oh, it's not because I'm signed in over here as a client. It's not going to let me modify it. So I'm going to go back and fix that. But here you can request a session. Now, if you already have a session, it'll show up here in the bookings. Okay, and you can do recent. You can look when I'm testing this. I'll run appointments through, and you can view the details of the session. What is it? Where was it? There you can do client surveys, feedback, and whatnot. If you're a part of a package, it'll tell you how many sessions are in the package. It'll give you updates along the way of how many are available. Okay, whether it's paid or unpaid, uh, and then invoices and billing. All of your receipts, everything. If I run your card through the Practice Better system, it'll show up here. But a lot of times I jump over to Square because Square is a better point of sale system when I'm checking you out with supplements and all that. Okay. Now, if I created a protocol for you, your protocol sheet will be under the protocol tab. Okay. And if you want to know how you should be taking supplements, it'll be on the protocol tab, and you can print that out or you can just look at it on the screen. If I have any lifestyle recommendations, it'll be there. Now, documents, this one is available to everybody. Okay. Handouts, recipes, product data sheets are in there. Um, any other documents I'm sharing with you, but everybody has access to the gross parasite pictures. Okay. And in here, I put pictures of parasites that people have sent me. So if you don't want to look at a parasite right now, look away from the screen. I'm going to show the picture in 3, 2, 1, and here it comes. And this is something that was moved out of somebody. It's disgusting. There's parasites in that strand. A lot of biofilm in there. Okay, the picture's gone. And I've got pictures because everybody who does a parasite protocol with me inevitably wonders what do the parasites look like in case they start pooping them out. Okay. Handouts are in here. All kinds of handouts. You can look for what kinds of foods should I eat. There's, go look in here. There's so much information. And I could do a better job at steering people into here. I have some product data sheets in here, based on vendor. You can go look at that, and some recipes. Oh, my coffee blend, big deal. But that's all in there. And then there's forms and waivers that everybody fills out and signs. Everything that you filled in when you became a client or are in the process will show up there. And then if you have any tasks, that shows up under the task list. You can look at my completed. This is my test account, so I'm not really in here doing the things. I'm going to go back home on here. Now, you can request a session, complete forms, complete a task. There's buttons right up here. The big benefit here is your journals. That's right up on top, okay? And if you notice all entries, you can do food and mood. You can do lifestyle. You can then do an analysis, okay? Boom, boom, boom. You get to look at your carbs and whatnot. But each day, uh, I've got from a client perspective, you can connect there's third party integrations that you can do. Personally, I love using Chronometer for the food journal, and another reason I like it is because it links up to Practice Better. So anything I put into Chronometer automatically pulls in to Practice Better. Okay, if you have a Fitbit, you can link that in. You can link your Garmin. This pulls your sleep data in. You can link your Oura Ring, Apple Health, all that can all be linked into here. And why that is helpful, this is all the stuff that gets linked in, tells my heart rate, my exercise activity. Let's see, the last few days I've been uh, entering in food, talks about my sleep, and you get all kinds of data. Let's go. Oh, that was lifestyle. That's why the food wasn't coming up. So last few days, I've been adding in food through the Chronometer diary, and it breaks it down here, and you get to see some of the daily targets. Okay, when you're taking water in, all that kind of stuff. The food, and it's really easy to enter food in. Okay, you can go down here in the web, and there's a corresponding app to your mobile device called Practice Better, and you log in using the same login that you use to get on the web page here. Okay, and you can log an entry, log water, food, or lifestyle. But you just click on log an entry. What kind of entry do you want to do? I'm going to log a lifestyle entry, and these are the lifestyle options you can track: activity, exercise. You can take measurements if you want to, usually your weight. Um, you can add a measurement that you want to track, all kinds of things in here that you could put in. Blood pressure, if you want to track, if you have a blood pressure cuff and you want to track that daily, you can put it in here. You can track your moods. This is important when I'm looking at moods comparatively to food intake, because folks, so many things can be influenced by the food that we eat. So it's important that you track your food. And of course, when we study what's going into your body, I want to know what's coming out as a practitioner. Okay. And yes, these are the options. You can't do holistic health without knowing what your poop is. I had a bowel movement. It was satisfying. Sometimes people will tell me I pooped, but it doesn't feel complete. It's not satisfying, and all that kind of stuff. That's an important metric to track. When did you move? Okay, after breakfast, and you can put in the quality of your poop. Was it mushy, pebbly, skinny, lumpy, watery? All so important. What color was it? The other day, one of the young men that I was working with, his poop was green. Okay, that's interesting. And then, did you eat anything that could have affected your bowel movement? That was one of my questions to him. and then you enter that in. So you can track, okay, your bedtime. It's so important to know what time did you go to bed? How was your sleep during the night? How many times did you wake up? How long were you awake? Can you get back to sleep quickly? And then if you just want to type a note, you can do that too. Some people will do that. Hey, Doc Jeff, this happened. Boom. And it gets posted. Okay. And you can put the date and time and all that kind of stuff up there. So a lot of stuff that you can add in for lifestyle. When you go to log food, okay, you've got all these options. Add a freeform entry, upload a photo, add a new food, or add a recipe. You can start building common foods. Like let's say every day you might eat yogurt with a rice cake. Well, after a while, you get tired of entering in both of those. So you can create it as a recipe and then just add that recipe into your food journal. You can add free form, but the best way to do it is use the search bar. Okay. So let's say I'm having yogurt, it's going to give you a listing of options in here. Let's say I had Greek yogurt. Okay. And it pulls it out of like the nationwide database for Greek yogurt. You can even, let's do a Nevermind. You can add the log food. If you're doing it on your phone, you can even scan the barcode. Okay. Let's go with Oikos. You can search by food brand in here. And let's say I had an Oikos vanilla non-fat. Okay. Well, it pulls in all the nutrients already for you. And you can hit, yep, you can check the quantity, make sure, well, instead of 3/4 of a cup, I actually, let's see if it'll let me change it. Oh, that's the metric it uses. So I actually had two or a cup and a half. So I might put 2 servings at 3/4 of a cup. Okay. And then you would save that. Boom. And so it's in the system now down here under breakfast. And you can track some other metrics with your food. Where did you eat this meal? How did you feel before and after? These are important questions, especially when we're trying to get down to what might be causing interference in your body's ability to function well. Okay. All of this I recommend doing with the mobile app. But before you set the mobile app up, get everything going here on a web browser on a computer so you don't get, because sometimes the fingers are, if your fingers are like mine, you can fat finger on the keyboard and you get frustrated trying to set this stuff up. But once it's set up, you're ready to rock and roll. Okay. You can log your water. Boom. Had this much, boom, water intake updated. And then you get messages, new forms to complete. It tells you it's coming from me and whatnot. And then there's also this group out here. Of course, I'm not part of the holistic group. I have to go back and add myself to that at some point. But there's a holistic health group that is typically available to everybody out here. So, and then your dashboard gives you a summary of everything right on the main screen. Okay, all your supplements, your programs, and just everything that you're trying to do in here, and that's practice better. Let me find my screen there. Okay. Um, so good morning, Marie. Thanks for jumping on and saying hi. Covered a lot of, oops, not sure what happened there. Let's remove that. All right. Covered a lot of ground this morning. Let me know what you thought of the free flow um, format as we go. If it's something that you liked, maybe I'll consider doing that more often. One of the things that I'm working up is on my return after my break, what I am looking at doing is running a new series starting on September 13th called Systems of the Body. And it's going to be holistic insights on the different systems of the body. Okay. Um, and it's going to be 7 weeks, I believe. Might be a little bit less. But systems of the body, we're going to talk about the lymphatic system, the endocrine system, the cardiovascular, the digestive, the nervous system each week, the immune system, the musculoskeletal system. And these are all going to be, with the holistic health perspective, and how Q and T is integrated to all of those systems when I'm talking to them in respect to your case. So I appreciate you guys listening in, and throw any remarks in the comments. But we are at the top of the hour, so I am going, and it's raining outside. I was going to zip over and join the local coffee shop, but I'm not sure I will. So, all right. Thanks, everyone. I love you guys. We'll talk to you later. And quick prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the free flow format this morning. I hope I was able to share something that somebody can hear and resonate with. And please give us the guidance, the wisdom, and the strength we need, and the courage we need to get on top of our own health and take charge of it through your Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. I will talk to you guys later. Have a great weekend.